Hey guys, no playoffs for the Steelers. Now what?
What can we expect from the front office?
Who will stay in Pittsburgh? Who will go?
And our Super Bowl predictions.
It'll be next up on Steeler Nation Live.
Name of the future. Name of the future. With the name of the future. And with the name of the future. Hey. Yeah. Shout out to Big Tez, man. And Big O. It's Steeler Nation, man. Yeah. Big Tez. Big O. You know what it is, man. Steeler Nation, man. Big O. Big Tez. Big O. Every night on Monday night, man. Hey. 7 to 8 on Monday night. Big O. Big Ted. And it's a song. And this is Steeler Nation. Big Ted. Big O. Big Ted. Big O. Steeler Nation. Big Ted. Big O. Big Ted. Big O. Steeler Nation, man. Yeah. And it's a song. Big O. Yeah, I had to say it was a song, man. You know, it is a song, man. Yeah. Big Ted. Big O. Big Ted. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome again. Our final finale edition here of Steeler Nation Live. Big Tiz, Big O. What's going on, Big O?
Nothing but heartbreak and heartache and what do we do, Big Tiz? What do we do?
Yeah, that's all we can say now. You know, guys, this is our final show, and we're going to pour everything into this show, so we want you guys to stay prepared and ready because there's going to be a lot of things hitting you hard here on Steeler Nation Live. And one thing we want to start off with, one thing we said, the Steelers, they had those 2 losses going into the final week. We missed the week with the Steelers losing to the Cincinnati Bengals because, you know, it was the holidays and, you know, just like everybody else, Big Tiz and Big O, we want to hang out with our families and do our things, you know, but we took that week off, and we're back now. And what we want to do is we're going to touch base quickly on those 2 games that passed, the couple of weeks that passed, and the Steelers ended up being out of the playoffs because of those 2 games. But you know what? They won 1 out of the 2. But hey, you know what? They came up short, so we got to live with it, and we got to go on and look for next season. But that first game they lost, which was the one they needed to get into the playoffs, was the one against the Cincinnati Bengals. So Big O, I'm going to let you touch base on that game and give us some numbers, some quick stats out of that game just to let everybody know and get caught up on the station.
Absolutely, because even though we needed to win pretty much that one game, losing to Dallas and then playing Cincinnati at home, you would think that'd be some kind of something to get you motivated to win this game. You know, we lost to Dallas. That was a heartbreaker because we always play down to, you know, the level of our competition.
Right.
We always play up to the level of our competition. So playing the Cowboys and losing to them, that's just another heartbreak loss. We'll go over that later in the show. We'll go over the season, you know, game by game, and, you know, just, well, not game by game, but we'll talk about, you know, our wins, our losses. But that Cincinnati Bengal game, that loss was huge. And coming out of there, when you play the kind of football that we did that day,
right,
you don't deserve to win. We had many chances to win that ball game. We had a pick 6 and a pick 3, I like to call it.
The trifecta.
Oh yeah, and this 13-10, that sounds like one of the boringest games ever. But you know, the Steelers kept it interesting with Roethlisberger throwing a couple interceptions. Like I said, the pick 6 and then the pick 3. We had a fumble. All turnovers are costly. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about the Bengal game, and then Big Tiz is going to go over the stats for the Cleveland game. We're going to compare, and we're going to put them side by side, pretty much the stats and how we played each game.
Right.
And we're going to figure out what game you won, what game you lost. Obviously, we know that, but we're going to compare the stats. Total yards for the Steelers were 280 yards, and we had 5 penalties for 63 yards. Turnovers were 3 for the Steelers. Bengals also had 3. They didn't want to play. I mean, these teams were not looking like they wanted to be in the playoffs or to advance in any way. Because when you go into the playoffs, it's huge. You want to have momentum. You want to go in on a winning note. But this is not how you want to do it. The Bengals had 267 total yards. And even the clock, the time of possession was pretty much the same. The Steelers had 31 minutes. Bengals had for 28. Roethlisberger, 14 for 28 for 220 yards, and those 2 big interceptions that killed us. We had a total of 95 yards on the ground, but we did some good in the air. Like I said, Roethlisberger had 220 yards passing. We had Brown with a key touchdown.
Right.
He had five catches for 97 yards. And what was big was the defense was finally coming around. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, one fumble. But you know what? Out of those turnovers, not 1 point. We not create 1 point on that. And we'll take it on to the Bengals side of the ball. Dalton really didn't have a bad day. 24 for 41 for 278 yards. No TDs, but he also had 2 interceptions. Now, the key to defense is, creating turnovers. We talked about the lack thereof. We haven't been doing it all year. I think we're ranked 24th or 26th in the league in turnovers. But when you create turnovers, you want to score points off that. We scored no points off of that. On the other side of the ball, the Bengals scored 10 points off our 2 turnovers, the pick 6 and the pick 3, to eventually put the game away. So, Green Ellis, 15 carries for 14 yards. The defense was amazing. And Green, 10 receptions for 116 yards. It seemed like he was the only receiver out there.
But that's expected with
that's average.
With a guy going out there. We had some beat up defensive backs, and some young defensive backs out there now trying to cover and trying to make up ground. So I can expect him to have those inflated numbers like that. But it was a controlled inflated numbers.
Yeah. With that being said, let's hear about the Cleveland game, Big Tiz, and let's compare notes. And it just night and day.
Exactly. The Steelers, they went into that game against the Cleveland Browns, and it was a game that they needed just to say they ended the season on a good note. They ended up the season on an 8-8 record, which was at 500, but we all expected a little bit more of the Steelers, not regarding the injuries that happened all during the year, but you know what? Some teams get by through the injuries, and you just got to move on. But the Steelers, actually, they started like they usually do, playing down to the level of competition, with the first quarter ending 0-0 with the Browns. And the Steelers seemed to be in control, but they still couldn't get over that hump to score. But in the second quarter, the Steelers went ahead 10-3, which, they tried to muster up a little offense, but they left room for the Cleveland Browns to get back in the game. And the Steelers pulled away a little bit more. Third quarter, 17-10 they led. And into the fourth, they scored one more touchdown, and they ended up winning the game 24-10 against the Browns. Now, the Steelers ended up having a total yardage of 212 yards for the game. 3 penalties for 58 yards. No turnovers, which is a good thing for the Steelers, because the Steelers were giving the ball up just like they were giving away candy for a while there. But you know what? No turnovers. Hey, great. One thing on the other side of the ball, the Browns, 320 yards total, which was kind of a lot of yards for them, but they had 9 penalties for 79 yards.
That was huge.
That was huge.
Not to mention, let's not forget the starting quarterback, rookie quarterback.
Exactly.
And Dick LeBeau's record for a rookie quarterback, he's now 15-1.
Right.
So proceed.
And not just that. 4 turnovers were huge in this game. 4 turnovers the Steelers got from the Browns. But you know what? The Steelers were needing turnovers. Granted, they got it in this last game, which was just a for pride's sake game, but they got them. And they got 4 big turnovers. The Steelers had the ball for 29 minutes and 39 seconds of the game, and the Browns had it for 30 minutes and 21 seconds, which a lot of it, pertained to their little dink and dunk offense they did down the field, and, the Steelers prevailed by holding them when they had to. Roethlisberger, he did okay. He had a decent day. He manned the ship 15-23 for 134 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's big for Roethlisberger. Dwyer, 11 for 52. But the receiving core is kind of spread out. The numbers weren't that high, but one thing that was big out of it, Plaxico Burress scoring for a touchdown. That was huge, because that's one reason why we did get Plaxico, and you know what, he missed a couple games with injuries, but hopefully if we hold on to him next year, I got a feeling that things will start to pan out and things will start to gel, especially with Plaxico down near the goal line, because we have no tall receivers there in Pittsburgh.
And let's not forget the touchdown by Leonard Pope.
Huge, huge.
Not to mention that he is huge. We talked about this earlier in the season, but let's start comparing the games now. When you effectuate the offense, you bring the tight ends into the game, you score points. in the red zone. You throw the ball in the end zone, you score. You have a propensity of scoring touchdowns.
Exactly.
But when you try to run the ball up the middle every play, they're gonna get wind of it. I mean, I noticed there was a couple times where Ben did hurry up offense and it worked. No hurry up offense against the Bengals. We didn't do any play action passes. We did against Cleveland. We moved the ball.
Right.
Didn't do that against Cincinnati. And there are other things. Points that we scored off of turnovers that we didn't do against Cincinnati. It's just all the things that the textbook plays that we talked about all year. When Pittsburgh does this or when Pittsburgh does that,
right,
we win ball games. And it's clear right here. We're not weeks apart. We're doing the show right now, comparing the two different games, and you can see 24-10. I know it's the Browns, but we lost last time to the Browns.
Exactly.
We gave up the ball 8 times to the Browns.
Exactly.
Still almost won that game.
Well, like I said, and I still feel it this way in my heart, is that the defense played their hearts out on a unit that had major injuries. I mean, major injuries you go from the defensive line all the way to the secondary. There were major injuries in that defense. So, but they still held their own. They held their own in a lot of games when they had to. And one of the big games I can go back to was the Dallas Cowboy game, when the Steelers actually held the Cowboys a couple of times to allow the Steelers to actually take a lead in that game. And like I said, it came down to, the usual, hoping the offense would kind of pull us out, and things didn't work that way. So, it goes on along with everything else. But we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But also, the defense, 3 fumbles, 1 interception, and 5 sacks in that game. The defense, again, showed up to play, put the offense in good positions to score and win the game. And the defense for Cincinnati, just 2 sacks. Like I said, a lot of people don't like the offense and the way, the way that Todd Haley runs the offense. But that dink and dunk offense for right now, it has to work because of Roethlisberger's. It keeps Roethlisberger healthy, and Roethlisberger needs that. He needs to stay healthy to stay upright. So that I hate to kind of lose him. A lot of people are looking at him as being gone and possibly being picked up by another team as a head coach. But I thought he did well to try to keep Ben healthy, even though Ben did get sacked and get hurt and was out for a couple of games. But I thought Todd Haley did what he needed to do with that short yardage offense to keep things moving and keep the chains moving. But, injuries played a lot into a lot of things. So that's where we are right now, the 8-8 record, and hopefully, things will pan out for next year.
I mean, looking back at the season, and the game where we played the Redskins, game 8, okay,
right,
where we contained one of the most premier elite rookie quarterbacks that's upcoming in the NFL. 6 carries, 8 yards, and held him for under 130 yards passing.
Exactly.
Okay. We played the Giants the week after. We beat them 24-20, and the score does not depict the game. We took over that game, and like I said, the 24-20, that was like garbage points for the Giants coming back. In the games that we lost, the heartbreakers, to the Raiders, 34-31. I mean, that's a game we should have won. We lost to the Browns. We should have won that game. We lost to the Chargers, 34-24. Garbage points. It does not depict the game. They ran us up and down the field. It's not right. And the Cowboys, that was one. I think losing to the Cowboys was even worse than losing to the Ravens. I mean, because it just you don't do those things.
Well, yeah, and the Steelers were definitely the better team. But like I said, we gave the ball away on a situation where we shouldn't have, and those things play out, man. And that's what happened in that final score of the game. The interception that was taken back for almost practically a touchdown. But you know what? The Cowboys are out of the playoffs just like the Steelers are. So you know what? We're all out. We're all even right now. So, and as you look at it, if you go down the list of the losses for the Steelers, also against the Bengals, a 13-10 game, which ended up the same way, a late interception that kind of put them into scoring. So
and the Titans as well, 26-23. I believe that was another interception that led to a field goal. Or I can't remember. It's just you like to put these things out of your mind. And we win games that we shouldn't win, like against the Jets in week 2, 27-10. That's the kind of style of football that you want to play, that you expect from the Steelers to play game to game, week to week. But, we're going to have one of those, games where nothing just goes right. That's, 1 or 2 games a season, but not 8.
Exactly.
Not 8.
Well, guys, you know what? Now that the Steelers are out of the playoffs, it's now the good question out there. A lot of people want to know what's next. What's going to happen next? I mean, there are going to be a lot of moves out there, and like I said, in the Steelers front office, there's going to be a lot of huge moves as well. I'm pretty sure to say, and not knowing what all the moves are going to be, and I perceive like what I was talking to Big O earlier about. I think that Todd Haley might be one of the other big moves on the offensive side of the ball for the Steelers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers granted permission today to interview with the Cardinals. Now, he spoke last week, and he said that he's not interested in any head coaching jobs. However, maybe this might be just a formality, or maybe he wants to go back to Arizona. And I do believe the reason why he would go back to Arizona is not that they're looking for a great head coach, is because, remember, he was offensive coordinator under Kevin Wisenhunt there. He did a great job going to the Super Bowl. However, we did beat them. The owners who own the Cardinals love Todd Haley. They love him. If not, they would have been talking to all these other coaches. However, if he goes, it'd be this. I mean, it's early in his career with the Steelers,
right?
So it's not going to be. And plus, it's not like the Steelers went 15-1 this year, that it's going to be a detrimental loss to the Steelers if he goes, because out on the chopping block was Ken Wisenhunt, and we all remember him. And we'll go into that in depth later in the show. But before we go on, we got a bunch of new things that we're going to do on the show today, our season finale special. We're going to have a couple things. Who we feel is the NFL Coach of the Year, one of the things. Also MVP, Comeback Player of the Year. We also have Rookie of the Year. Now, me and Big Tiz, we agreed on a couple things. We had our own decision on other things, and it's great because that's good course of discussion. And what we want you to do is when we start talking about Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, Comeback Player, we want you to call in and voice your opinion, who you feel should get the award. And also, we're going to have our own Steeler grades and our Steeler awards for certain players who we think was the MVP for the Steelers, a breakout player that we didn't expect to do good for the Steelers, as well as grades for all the coaches. So with that being said, Tiz, how about we go to a commercial, pay some bills?
And we'll be back on Steeler Nation Live, and we'll get caught up with our NFL Coaches of the Year.
SteelerNationLive.net. It's live. Join Big O, Big T every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New Year's only in-depth analysis of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Black and gold. Game review. Injury report. Injury releases. Who got fired? Fantasy stats. Rumors. Anything and everything you want to know about the black and gold. SteelerNationLive.net.
Uniform Express, located on 1408 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York, for your police, fire, or EMS supplies. One of Rochester's top and finest suppliers of shirts, pants, shoes, boots, and accessories for your professional uniform needs. Uniform Express also does embroidery and screen print for team uniforms, jerseys, and corporations. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also go to their website at www.uniformexpress.com or call Brian at 585-529-4245. That's 585-529-4245. And let Brian know you heard his ad on our show, Steeler Nation Live. Welcome back, everybody. Steeler Nation Live here in Rochester, New York, snowy Rochester, New York. www.steelernationlive.net. Check us out. Check out our website, and that's where you can find Big O and Big Tiz on a daily basis, 365 days a year, 24/7. You can find us. Before we forget, Big Tiz, we want to give a big thank you to an intricate part of this Steeler Nation Live team, Johnny B.
Yep, Johnny B. Johnny B did a lot of things for us here on Steeler Nation Live, and we appreciate everything he did for us here this year. I mean, this guy came up with some good picks. You know what? There were times when Big Tiz didn't listen to him. So, like I said, that's why I ended out of the playoffs. There are a couple guys that work with, that didn't listen to him as well. And we call it a Steeler hater. He's one of the guys that never listened to him. But he was out of the playoffs as well in our fantasy leagues. And, that's the way it goes. That's why I said this guy is phenomenal. You got to love him. Johnny B Fantasy. And he did it for us all year. The picks were great. This guy came in. And he came in some rough times, and he did it for us here on Steeler Nation Live.
Yeah, but he didn't do it for you, Big Tiz. How'd you end up in fantasy?
Hey, like I said, you know what? I don't pay much attention. That's why I was in the basement.
All right. Hey, Big Tiz. We got a couple. We're looking at the message board. Unbelievable. We have a bunch of Cowboy fans out there who are trying to rub it into us. And you know what? We appreciate everything because that means you're listening to us. You're a Steeler radio show. You're not a Steeler fan. We appreciate that. And all I can say is, hey, you beat us, but you know what? You're with us right now. And we appreciate the company.
Exactly. Now, guys, you know what? We're going to go up into our NFL Coach of the Year in the NFL. And our coach, our picks were different at one time, but you know what? There were a lot of great coaches out there, a lot of coaches that did what they needed to do. And we're going to tell you our picks right now. But I'm going to let Big O start off with his coach that he picked for the NFL Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year. There's a couple of coaches out there that we had to pick from. And Pete Carroll was one of them. He got his Seahawks to the playoffs. Shanahan, he started out the season with a rookie quarterback, 3-7, I believe it was. And took him to the playoffs, Big Tiz. And then we have this man, Bruce Arians. We're all familiar with Bruce Arians right here. And you know what, Big Tiz? This was my pick. I believe it was your pick as well.
Oh, yeah, Bruce Arians. I had to give it to Bruce. And there were some good picks out there that could have been, like you said, the Redskins and different coaches from, Pete Carroll for the Seattle Seahawks. But this guy, Bruce Arians, he did it under phenomenal pressure. And the pressure was the fact that his coach, Chuck Pagano, went out with that sickness, and this guy stepped in, took over that team, and did what he needed to do to take those guys to where they are now. And he did this with barely or basically no running game.
No running game.
And a rookie quarterback.
And a rookie quarterback coming off a 2-and-forever season. Now, let's think about this. Your first year as offensive coordinator. Okay, you're coming into a season that was 2-14. You're starting off the season with no running game and a rookie quarterback. Then your head coach is diagnosed with leukemia, and you have to take the helm. He takes the helm with all that, like you said, pressure. Right. I mean, being a coach is pressure enough, but now when it's dropped on you like this, not only on a professional football level, but the emotional level that this takes from you. That the coach of your team is diagnosed with cancer. Now, that takes the wind out of anybody's sails. But you know what? Not in Indy. This did not happen. And he brought this team with a 9-3 record from a 2-14 record the previous year with a rookie quarterback, no running game, and a one veteran wide receiver.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Like I said, the guy did a heck of a job. And not just that, he was stepping in a position basically kind of ousted from Pittsburgh because, we weren't, we didn't like his style, we didn't understand it or whatever. Now he goes out there and he does it. He does it with the Indianapolis Colts. You have to give this guy his props. This guy deserves it. We got some Cowboy fans out there who feel that Jason Garrett should be the top of the list of coaches. I don't know. Well, the 8-8 record is maybe that's not telling much. I don't know.
Well, you know what? His job is safe in Dallas, and I'll tell you why. Because he is Jerry Jones' puppet.
Exactly.
And he shows no emotion, and he gets the call not from the booth, from Jerry Jones. And as long as Jerry Jones tells him what to do and he does it, he's going to have a job for a very, very long time. And so Dallas Cowboy fans out there, you just be prepared. be prepared and hope your draft is good.
Exactly. Now we do have some coaches out there who are not up for Coach of the Year. Actually, these guys are up for looking for coaching positions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these guys were, good coaches. Let's start off with Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith
for the Chicago Bears. This guy I thought was a great coach. I thought he was a good coach. But the Chicago Bears, they weren't satisfied with anything that was outside of the playoffs, and they weren't going to do it this year. They said if you can't beat Green Bay, then you got to go.
I'll tell you what, he started off with a 7-1 record and kind of dropped off from there. But you know what? With his 9-year or 10-year tenure with Chicago, he has a winning record. And I don't understand that move whatsoever. We'll go over to Andy Reid. Now, what was his situation? Was it the team? I mean, career 14 years with the Eagles. I mean, he had a winning record as well. However, I mean, things happen. Things go,
I think the situation with Andy Reid was a little bit more than that. He had a death of his son.
Oh,
that happened. There were a lot of things that played into that, and the fact that this guy, he still was out there. Granted, the team at a certain point did quit on him, and actually Michael Vick went as well to say he felt that a lot of guys did quit on him, and that was unfair to him. And it was like I think Philly should have been a little bit more understanding to the situation and possibly gave this guy one chance. But a lot of people in Philly thought that his time ran out, and he put a lot of years in, and they felt like enough's enough.
Yeah, and not to mention we also have we talked about him earlier, Ken Wisenhunt. Don't be surprised, folks, if Haley leaves, to have him Ken come back and be the offensive coordinator for the Steelers.
Yep, he was the offensive coordinator for the Steelers when they won the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl against Seattle.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah,
great game. Also, we have from Buffalo. This is no surprise. I don't know why it took so long. Chan Gailey. I'll never forget the game that they lost 50 to whatever, and the interview went something like this. Big Tiz. Reporter asked after they got destroyed if he felt the Bills gave up, and here's what he had to say. I'm not too sure if we gave up, but I just don't think we tried hard enough. And now, really, not trying hard enough and giving up, I believe that's the same thing. So not only did he lose his job, but I believe the whole coaching staff for the Bills lost all their stuff, their jobs. And Romeo Crennel, another one. Horrible season. We had Javon Belcher commit suicide in front of him.
Right.
Not to mention they had a horrible season to boot. And it just, you really can't say too much about Romeo Crennel. Let's move on to Pat Shurmur, Cleveland. No big surprise there. I mean, who would want these jobs?
Right. And the Cleveland job is a hard one, but I do think the Browns are in a good position to go in a good direction. But if you can make it through the rough times, and the fans have to be patient. I mean, they've been losing that long. You should have a little bit more patience, as far as I can see. And this guy looks like he had him going in somewhat of a direction. So play it out a little bit and see how it goes.
Right. Also, we don't have any pictures of Norv Turner. He also lost his job. He got the pink slip. And it wasn't a good holiday for these coaches who really didn't make the coach of the year.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, but you know what? With all that being said, the team records and all that, these are fine men. These are great leaders. It's just they have to find the right team.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Let's step up to our NFL MVP of the year on Steeler Nation Live. Me and Big O, we came up with this. Adrian Peterson. Wow. AP all day. This guy, you got to give it to him. And it should have been a good throw up between him and Peyton Manning, but the fact is that, he gave it all day. This guy went out on a injured knee, and
that was huge.
Right. A knee injury like that would actually, end a lot of careers. But this guy went out there and set records.
That was the last game of the season. That there was a lot of questioning. Should he even played? I believe the Vikings, it was a no-win situation.
Right.
Don't even know why he was playing, and things happen. like always they do. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen. And it happened to him, almost a career-ending injury. Now, take it. He missed Eric Dickerson's record by 8. Was it 8 yards or 9 yards?
8 or 9 yards.
8 or 9 yards. Let's not forget, folks, he missed the first 2 games of the season. Now, with that being said, he would have blew that record out of the water. So we don't expect nothing less than next year when Peterson comes back that he's going to shatter this record. And that's my opinion. Let's a couple stats here. All right,
give up the stats, because actually we do have someone on the board who's feeling that Peyton Manning should be the NFL MVP, and that's why I said, with you giving these stats, they can see that. And actually, you did bring up a good point there. Adrian Peterson missed 2 games and still almost got the record with major knee surgery.
Now now there's also receiving yards that are not calculated, obviously, because Eric Dickerson, same thing. He caught the ball in the backfield and ran with it. But this is just primarily rushing. Hand the ball off to him and he ran with it. 8 yards missed. Now also he had 268 receiving yards and 19 catches. Do the math. That's a lot of running after the catch, and that's what you need. Okay. We also got the 2,097 yards, 8 shy of Eric Dickerson. 12 touchdowns, 4 fumbles. Now, he held the ball. He ran with the ball 348 times.
Wow.
And only fumbled 4 times. And let's not forget, he averaged 5.6 yards a carry. You show me any other running back who does that on a daily basis, okay? And I'll show you Super Bowl MVP pretty soon. He only, like I said, he only played 14 games. His longest run from scrimmage was 73 yards. And I don't believe it was a touchdown. I think he ran out of gas near the goal line. But, putting all those stats together, and like you said, and we're stressing it, he only played 14 games. Peyton Manning played 16. But You know what? We're not going to leave Peyton Manning out of the dark. We're not going to do that. Because, Peytiz, we also talked about this earlier. And we have Steeler Nation Live Comeback Player of the Year for 2012-2013. And we all know who that is.
Peyton Manning of the Denver Broncos. We gave him that award for NFL Comeback Player of the Year because, like I said, just like Adrian Peterson, this guy was sustained some injuries that would actually end a lot of careers, but he came back and he did it. But the difference between the two is the fact that Adrian Peterson, like I said, he was on a team with a young quarterback and really no receivers. This guy, he was on a team right now with some receivers that could possibly do it on other teams, but he did have a run game. He did have an okay and halfway decent run game. That's one thing Denver was always good at. They always had decent running backs.
Sean Moreno and all them other guys.
Right. So, like I said, but he is the Comeback Player of the Year because this guy went into a new offense, a new team, a new environment, and he's still doing the same thing. He's still setting records. He's still putting up those numbers. They go give us some of the numbers from this guy, Peyton Manning. The things that he's done this year has been phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. But let's touch base on why we picked him as the Comeback Player of the Year. Remember, because of that career life-threatening injury to his spine and to his neck, he was out for a whole season, a whole year. So he had to come back. Now, number one, coming back from that type of injury, that type of surgery, he had not 2, not 3, but 4 serious neck injuries. He could have been paralyzed.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, he had to come back from that injury on another team. The Colts gave up on him, and they didn't want to take a chance. Well, you know what? You roll the dice in the NFL, and it looks like they kind of lost on this deal. But, that severe of a neck injury that I would have done the same thing because, it's a business. And as much as he loved being an Indianapolis Colt and playing for them for all those years, it's a business. And unfortunately, players have to move on. And he did so. And another team, another offense, coming back and taking control. And with that, he threw the ball almost 600 times, 583 times, with 400 completions, with a completion rating of 68.6,
wow.
which is phenomenal. 4,659 yards. Because this season.
And this is a guy that was out of football for a year. That's amazing.
37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Now, the reason why the interceptions may seem, so high is because I think one game he threw 4 or 5 interceptions. It was a bad day. Like I said earlier, they have bad days. His longest TD was 71 yards, and I do believe it was against us in the first game. I hate to admit that, with that rarefied air in Denver held that ball up there. And quarterback rating of almost 106, 105.8.
Wow.
Now, when you were in a situation and you have to come back, that's why we pick comeback players. Obviously, these are most valuable player stats, beyond hands down. But with that being said about him coming back to the NFL after a year of hiatus and recovery and a new team, a new offense, a new coach, I think that's why I picked him.
You got to give it to him.
You know
what? But you know what? We're going to keep the show going. Let's go into our NFL Rookie of the Year.
Let me find it.
And our NFL Rookie of the Year,
I don't think that's it, but we'll see.
Our NFL Rookie of the Year that came from Big Tiz and Big O is Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck.
And I know there's going to be a lot of guys that don't agree with that. And you know what? The fact that we picked Andrew Luck is the fact of Andrew Luck. He's done it all year, just like RG3. And the thing that goes into that, it was a hard pick to choose because we had some phenomenal rookies out there.
Well, let's take Russell Wilson. Okay, coming from the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, he's playing out in the West Coast. Okay, he threw for only 2,000, almost 3,000 yards. He had 25 TDs to 10 interceptions, 3 fumbles. He played 15 games. He threw the ball 374 times, and he completed 237 with a passer rating of 63.4, which really isn't that bad. And that's being a rookie. Now, when we compare these two quarterbacks, so we don't want to take anything away from Russell Wilson. Great job. Fantastic. I would love to have him on my team. But these guys, RG3 and Andrew Luck, almost comparable. Almost. But then you have to take into consideration, Big Tiz. You have to take in a lot of things. Do they play in the dome? Do they play outside? How's the weather where they're usually playing? I mean, what is it, FedEx Field in Washington? Is that where the Redskins are playing out? I don't know.
I believe Indianapolis plays in Lucas Oil Field.
Oh,
but the difference is, like I said, that I gave the nod to Andrew Luck was the fact that Andrew Luck, he has no run game really to speak of. And I believe his running back now is it was Brown for a little bit, but then
Vic Ballard, I believe.
Yeah, then they came with Ballard, but Ballard is, he's not this big explosive back or whatever.
No.
But the fact is RG3's got this guy who's just putting up just 200 yards against Dallas. And so you have to look at those things. Do I think that RG3 had a very good chance of winning it? Of course. This guy's phenomenal. But that's where I gave the edge to right there, and that was my deciding factor in the voting.
Yeah, you also have to look in TDs to interceptions, and RG3 had 20 TDs and only 5 interceptions. And why is that? Because he ran 50% of the time. That's why he only has 3,000 yards compared to almost 4,200 yards for Luck. Now Luck, 21 TDs, 18 interceptions, kind of high. But when you don't have a running game, you have to pass more. You're kind of setting yourself up for failure. But you got to do what you got to do to win. If the running game fails, you have to pass the ball with a completion percentage of 54.3, which is not that bad. We're talking rookies here, and fumbled the ball 9 times. That's because he's back in the pocket too long, and the ball stripped from him. He loses it, and there's RG3 only had 3 fumbles. That's impressive for running the ball as much as he does.
It sure is. I mean, a young guy like that, and he can only get better. So we can expect good things from both of these guys. And like I said, one of these guys is going to win a title. Give it a couple years or so. I can see one of these guys standing there hoisting that trophy.
Right. And also, we took into consideration who did each quarterback have to throw to. Okay, now Luck had Reggie Wayne, Donnie Avery, Austin Collie, and T.Y. Hilton. Inspiring wide receivers. Okay, we had the one veteran, Reggie Wayne, who did most of the catching. But that opened up the field for the other guys. So he threw the ball around.
Right.
And when you throw the ball around, Big Tiz, there's propensity for interceptions. As opposed to RG3, when there's nobody's open, he doesn't force a ball, he runs. And he's fast. And he's deceptive. You can't really get him unless you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, who held him to 8 yards and 6 carries when we beat him. Not to bring that up. So, other than that, I mean, he deserves this award. This is what I'm, not taking nothing away from RG3 or Russell Wilson. I think that's it right there.
Yeah, he won it fair and square.
Absolutely.
Now let's get on to some Steelers stats.
Steelers.
Our Steeler MVP of the 2012 season is Heath Miller.
Oh boy,
this guy is phenomenal. No matter which way you look at it, he made the big catches that kept the chains moving. This guy, you know what? And he gave it all he had. Actually, he ended up getting injured on the last play of the season for him in the last game against the Cleveland Browns. And it's going to be a long off season for him as well. So, but Heath Miller, he deserves it. He deserves our MVP of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You can say he got the Castroed. His knee is messed up, and the situation with that is we don't know if he's going to be ready for next season. So that kind of puts us in a bind come draft time. I mean, are we going to start looking for another tight end, even though we have Pope and Polson? And the reason why we might be looking for another tight end, as we could always add depth to the team, but Pope is not being utilized like he should. And against the Browns, he didn't get one pass thrown his way, and that's even with Heath Miller out of the game. He left, I believe it was late in the third quarter,
right,
when an injury. So maybe just the running game came in and trying to control the clock more, but. He played 15 games this year, okay? 71 catches. Now Ben threw the ball to him 101 times. He caught it 71 for 816 yards with an average catch of 11.5 yards. His longest was 43 yards. The big thing, 8 touchdowns with no fumbles.
Wow.
No fumbles. That's downfield. That's being popped. That's being hit. That's being thrown around. It's amazing. I mean, even his career stats for the 8 years he was with the Steelers, we're talking 39 touchdowns, 3 fumbles, 4,680 yards receiving, 408 catches, and he played 123 games in those 8 years. Those are Hall of Fame stats right there. I'm sorry, it's I might be a little biased, Big Tiz, but those are MVP stats right there.
Like I said, Heath Miller, he's one of those guys who puts out on every play. You can tell it in his blocking, and a lot of it because, he does get some holding penalties here and there. And that's because, like I said, he's trying to help that run game so they keep him in a lot. So, therefore, he will pick up some penalties here and there. But this guy is an all-around tight end, and hopefully he can get through this injury because it is a devastating injury that he had on his knee. And hopefully the recovery time isn't that heavy for him, and he can come back being the same player he was when he left.
Right.
So, but what we're going to do actually now, we're going to step into our biggest surprise or our breakout player of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Big O take that one.
I picked Mendenhall as my breakout meaning leaving the team. You know what? When I made the decision, there's a few players who stood out. Heath Miller stood out. Dwyer stood out, a couple games. Plaxico came in. He played huge a couple times that he, when the ball was thrown towards him. I mean, I picked who helped the team the most that I didn't think would do this. And this came back. My pick was Ryan Clark, safety. Now, when Palomalu went down with his injury, somebody had to step up and do something. And with the depleted secondary that we had, Ryan Clark took that secondary, and he controlled it. He manned it, and it's just I was so impressed. He only played 15 games, and we all know because he missed a game in Denver.
Right.
Because of his sickle cell. 74 tackles, 28 assisted tackles, forced 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. Not bad, not too shabby. And this is only one player right here. And like I said, he took over for Palomalo when he went down. And most teams, when their main player on offense or defense goes down, you kind of see a little the level of play going down because
Right.
You're in this panic mode. What do we do? Our leader's down, whatnot. But Ryan Clark took the reins, and he did a great job. So he's my breakout player of the year. He's my surprise player of the year.
Well, my pick was, and we don't really have any pictures of it, but a lot of it was the Steelers secondary. And the reason I say this, the Steelers whole secondary as a whole is the fact that these guys had major injuries in their secondary, actually even ending off the season with Ike Taylor even being out at the end. But we had guys that stepped up well enough for us to win these games, especially these young guys stepped up and, defended well for us to win that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. So, I mean, I got to give it to the secondary for the biggest surprise players, collectively, in the fact that they held their own against some big-time receivers, like I said, A.J. Green from Cincinnati, and some of the taller receivers from the Cleveland Browns. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, they held their own, and I believe that they played well enough for us to stay in it and actually still be playing right now. So I have to give my biggest surprise to the Steelers secondary, due with all the injuries from Palomalo being out all season, well, the majority of the season, and Ike Taylor being out late. So we had some holes in that secondary and on the defense as well, but the secondary did their best to step up and try to plug those holes. So that's it for me on that one.
Yeah, and not to mention the number 1 ranked pass defense in the NFL without their star player, Troy Polamalu. Now leads us to
Our GOAT of the year, 2012 Steeler GOAT of the year.
I don't know.
And we're going to start
I got
off.
nothing.
And we're going to start off our GOAT of the year. And I think Big O had his and I had mine, and we agree on some. But I'm gonna let Big O take his first.
And we can all agree upon this one. My pick is Todd Haley, and I'll tell you why. Maybe it's because I'm so disappointed because I was so pumped up that this guy was coming, change the offense around, get us going, get us to where we need to be, get the Steelers back in the game, get that running game established, get that short passing game, get the ball out of Ben's hand, protect him. It didn't work. And the reason why is because how the Steelers' offense has been ranked. Now, taking into consideration, we had multiple injuries on the offensive line, a lot of restructuring, a lot of guards playing tackles, centers playing guard playing center, a lot of moving around, a lot of mixing up positions, guys not playing. I took that in consideration. However, it's still, we have the caliber team that if somebody gets hurt, and we profess this every show, every game, somebody falls, somebody gets up and takes their place. There should be no hiccups. There should be no bumps in the road. They should take off right where the other player left off. Points per game, we ranked 22nd in the NFL out of 32 teams. Yards per pass, 14th. Not too bad, and that's because all those long bombs that Ben had to throw up, and hopefully Wallace and somebody came down with them. Yards per rush, ranked 28th in the NFL, and touchdowns, we ranked 26th out of 32 teams. That's horrible. That's inexcusable. When you come with his coaching caliber, you come into a team like Pittsburgh it's like bringing a chef into a master kitchen and not being able to cook. You got the utensils, you got the food, you got the ingredients, you got everything, and yet you can't cook something.
Right.
So that's why GOAT of the year is going to Todd Haley. Sorry.
Well, I'm gonna give my GOAT of the year to actually Todd Haley is one, but actually I'm gonna have it go to Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has been in a lot of games, and the Steelers' defense, even regarding with all those injuries, they kept us in games. They kept us to where we could have won a lot of games. But the fact is that either that was thwarted by late interceptions. You can go back to as far as the first game of the year when we played the Denver Broncos, and the defense held long enough, even with our defensive back Ryan Clark being out. They held up long enough for us to win the game the last couple minutes, but Ben threw a costly interception in that one as well. And if you go back to some of the games out there, some of it has been some of his play, and it should have been a lot better in being in that we had short yardage offense. So it's kind of hard for me to believe that he had an issue with that. It wasn't that we asked him to stay in the pocket all day and just, sit there, take the hit, and throw the ball downfield. We gave this guy shorter yards to work with. And he just, I don't know, for some reason he just couldn't do it. Or late in the game, he got shaky and he threw the ball away. And as for say, let's go to the the Cincinnati game, where he threw the costly turnover in the last minutes of the game. And I count maybe 3 games this year where it's come down to late Ben interceptions, even going against the San Diego Chargers. If there's a lot of disbelievers out there, San Diego Chargers, the Steelers was trying to mount a comeback, and he threw a costly pick in the middle of the field, close to our own goal line, that San Diego turned into more points. So, you have to look at those type of things. Do I think Ben should be traded? No. Do I think Ben is a horrible player? No. But I do think Ben needs to start to think and play a little bit different, knowing that he's getting older, and getting older, he has to know that he has to get that ball out of his hand just a little bit quicker. Because, like I said, you got guys that are blitzing in, and they're trying to hit this guy, and Ben is getting older, and he can't take those hits like he used to. And, like I said, I have 2 for Goats of the Year, and my other one is the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. The offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers played ridiculously horrible this year. And that goes back to the fact of you got running backs out there picking up 2 and 3 yards a carry. And you have a lot of other things going on with the Steelers in their offensive line. There were injuries and there were different things going on with the offensive line. But let's get it straight. It comes down to the basics of block the man that's right in front of you. And if you can see, there were guys that were just always in our backfield. Always in our backfield, affecting our throwing game and affecting our passing game. So these guys, both collectively, our offensive line and Ben Roethlisberger, they're my Goats of the Year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now, question for you. Do you think that Ben came back too soon? I think he did.
Yeah, there's the possibility of Ben coming back too soon, but the fact is, I've seen some throws where Ben looked magnificent. Coming out of his hand, the ball looked beautiful, and he was right on the money. And to me, it was the shorter passes that he got picked off on. So, it's a hard thing to say.
I think he came back a little bit too soon. And not to make excuses or nothing like that, but coming off those serious injuries, I do believe that he came in, he tried to make up for it, lost time, and try to force the issue. And I don't think his arm strength is what it was earlier before the injury. So trying to force some short passes over the middle, I think that played a part. But you know what? If my aunt, well, you know how, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. But we can if it all day long. But I do believe that's why, talking about the short passes, that he tried to force them, thinking back that he had the power, the strength. Anybody could air it up 40 yards. And
right.
Hopefully, somebody runs underneath it. But I do believe that he lost some power due to his injuries, and because the short passes weren't getting in to, throwing in the triple, quadruple coverage didn't help either on most of those plays. But I think trying to force the play like he used to, I think that had some fact. But you know what? He did not make me happy a couple times.
Exactly. You know what? And also, what we want to do now, we want to start by grading our Steeler coaches. How did they do this year? And one of the things we want to start off with the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know who that is, Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin, you know what? I think he did a okay job regarding, we did have some heavy injuries, even to the quarterback position, going down to the running back position. And, in the secondary, we had horrible injuries again this year. And the fact is that, I think he still kept us competitive. And we still had, because you can't go out there and play on the field yourself, but you have to put these guys in a position to play and to make plays. And I thought that he did okay, but it was just the simple fact that, there were some times in lack in judgment where I seen that he benched Mendenhall in a year, and I kind of didn't agree with that because, Mendenhall was struggling, but you know what? You make them fight through it. Make them fight through the fumbling problems. Make them get through it. And that's what made Tiki Barber into a great running back, was the fact that his coach stuck with him, but gave him help to get there. So, give him that help that he needs to get over that hump, possibly, even if he is with the Steelers this year.
I agree. So what would you give him, Big Tiz? What would your grade be?
I'd have to give him Tomlin I give him a B minus, because I thought he did good, but I thought there were some other things he needs to work on, and if he can work on those things, I think he can be. And I think he is a decent coach, but I think these things can help him get into that great level.
Well, you know what, folks, if you're listening out at home on TalkShoe.com, call us up at 724-444-7444. Enter the code 115243. Hit the pound button and wait, and hit the number 1 for guest, and call in. We want to hear what you have to think about this show. How do you feel the season went? Where do you think we should go from here? We want you on the line to tell us while we go over these. While we're grading the coaches, we give a grade. What do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? We want to hear. Message us on the board. I look over there, Big Tiz, and all the Cowboy fans want the bed.
Beautiful thing.
Oh, beautiful thing. We don't have to hear them crying and whining anymore because they went one game further than us. Well, actually, they didn't, because they didn't make the playoffs. So, getting back to it, like I said, call us up, 724-444-7444 here at SteelerNationLive.net, www.SteelerNationLive.net. Call us. Let us know how you would grade. And I'm going to have to give Coach Tomlin, I'm going to have to give him a C. And I agree with you, to a certain extent with the injuries or whatnot. But what's so frustrating, Big Tiz, is being that player coach, you have to get your team up for every game, but especially the games that you need to win, games you should win. You have to get, your job is to get this team. And a famous coach once said, and I believe could be wrong, so you Bear fans out there, call in and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Mike Ditka who said, if you have to get your team pumped up to play to win a game, you shouldn't be playing. But, you have to get some kind of motivation to get you out there. A paycheck isn't going to cut it. You have fans out there who live and die for you guys, who every breath, you have to do something to get this team motivated, not just go through the motions. So I was going to give him a C minus, but you know what, Big Tiz? I gave him a C, solid C.
Now we also have our defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we all know who that is. That's Dick LeBeau. And I thought Dick LeBeau did a decent job. The fact is, like I said, with all the injuries that we had to our defensive line, to our secondary, to our linebackers, you name it, this guy still had our defense ranked high in the NFL. I believe at one point we're ranked number 2 or number 1 almost overall.
Number 1 pass defense yardage, and we're I think number 4 against the run, and there's some other numbers, other stats there. Pretty much this guy did what he had to do. Not to mention he's 140.
Pretty much, and like I said, I stick with this guy. I thought he did a decent job, barring all the injuries and let down from the offense. I feel that we still would have been playing, and a lot of that I feel was due to the fact of the defense. So I'm going to give the defense a B+.
B+. Let's see. So you gave Dick LeBeau B+. I give him B+ too. And the only downfall, Big Tiz, I would have to be the turnovers, not creating turnovers. I think we were ranked 25th in the NFL with getting turnovers. Our plus-minus ratio was ridiculously not what the Steelers are all about. So taking consideration, in a lot of these games, don't forget that the ones we could have won, should have won, the defense kept us in there.
Right.
Offense gets out there, defense, get back out there. What happened? I went to get a beer or something. Came back and the defense is up. What's going on here? So I would have to give B+. Dick LeBeau, and the word on the street that he said he was coming back next year. Now, he didn't say it was going to be his final year. So, let's take one step at a time. He's coming back next year, and that's fantastic. If he comes back for 2, that's even better. But we have a lot of coaches in Pittsburgh who can do the job, who are hopefully our sponges, who are sitting back and absorbing what this mentor, this football god. Am I going a bit too far with this God stuff? But you take this guy, what he's been through in his career, and look what he's done.
Right.
It's phenomenal. And Dick LeBeau, if you're listening to the show, which I hope you are, you're one hell of a coach, and we respect and admire you deeply, deeply.
Well, let's go even more into it. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. And the offensive side of the ball, the offensive coordinator we all know is Todd Haley. And Todd Haley, I'm going to have to give him maybe like a C- to almost a D. And the fact that with me giving him that grade is the fact that he did do some things that try to put us in certain positions to win, but there also were a lot of calls where I seen that he made that were game breakers for us on the offensive side of the ball. And for the offense not to move the ball the way that we did, it almost looked horrific at times, and I mean almost unwatchable at times. So it was amazing for me saying that, being a hardcore to the core Steeler fan, to have it to where I can't even bear to watch the offense out there. So I'm going to give this guy maybe even a D for the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Todd Haley.
Right, and also, you're not going to get a favorable vote from me because he's my Steeler GOAT of the year. I'm going to give him, a D. I'm being very generous with my decision to giving him a D, and that's only for the fact of all the injuries.
Right.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, if everybody was healthy, would have been different. Sure, who knows? Could have been worse. Don't know. But what he had to work with, and what he didn't do on offense, what he failed to accomplish, he came in talking about the run game, the short passing game, and that failed miserably because if you look at the record, the 8 wins, we talk about this every show. 8 wins, here's what Steelers have to do to win this game. Let's see. Run the ball. No huddle offense. Play action. Short passes. Let them blitz. Do some screens. We won 8 times because of that. Let's see. 8 losses. Did not establish a running game. Did not play action. Did not do no huddle offense. Did not get the tight ends involved in the game. Did not do any short screens. And when we did get the tight end involved in the game, which there was a couple losses where Heath Miller was destroying defenses, one half, and then the second half he disappeared.
Right.
So that's all an offensive coordinator. D. You know what? D-. All right. And we need to move on because I'm going to make it an F in about 2 seconds because I'm getting pumped right now, Big Tiz.
But let's go on. Actually, let's go on to one thing that I'm pretty amped up about is our special teams coach.
Oh, boy.
And our special teams, I'm going to have to give those guys a D-. And the reason I say that because these guys on the special team side of the ball, they gave up some big first downs that kind of put some games out of reach. And number one of the games was against the San Diego Chargers, where it was a 4th and 5, I believe, or something like that. And they did a fake punt on us, and
2 fake punts.
Yeah, right. And picked up first downs on both of them. And I believe the Steelers got burned for another first down against I'm not positive, either it was Cleveland or it was Cincinnati.
It was Cleveland.
Yes, and like I said, these are the things that you definitely have to be looking out for because these guys have nothing else to play for, so they're going to do certain things. If you kick the ball off and the guy catches it or he downs it or it goes over his head, so what? But you're letting them pick up first downs, and these are costly first downs. And otherwise than that, I have to give them their kudos on some things because they did control, kickoff returns against us or anything like that. And we actually, the only one that I knew that was actually a kickoff return against us was earlier in the season against the Baltimore Ravens. So other than that, they did decent, but the ones that we needed is the ones that they gave away.
I can't remember the last time the Steelers returned a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown. I believe the last time we did it is when Brown did that ridiculous running backwards into the end zone. I think that was against Was that against Cincinnati?
But I believe that was a penalty as well, so he didn't make it in.
Oh, yeah, but there was some kind of holding or
Right.
block, back, some kind of BS call. But you know what? D-, I agree with you. I have D, but I'll agree with you with D- on that one. Offensive line coach.
The offensive line coach definitely D-, and I'm being generous, and that's being generous because I believe you said defensive line or offensive line.
Offensive line.
Well, offensive line, that's okay. Just making sure of the two, but the offensive line is where I give the D-, and that was because there were a lot of injuries there. But like I said, the main purpose of football is block the guys in front of you, and we did that. No, we didn't do that no matter who was in the game. So and that's being generous with the D-.
And let's take some the injuries into consideration. I did that, and I gave them a C because of all the positioning and the changes. We had 3 different centers, Legursky, Pouncey, and somebody else came in there for a couple snaps one game. I mean, it's just the depleted offensive line, the guards going down. We had to call up Max Starks, who was sitting on his couch eating Cheetos, watching reruns of Family Feud. And come on in, we need you. And he did a pretty good job. I mean, the guy's 9 foot something, 400 pounds. You got to be able to block somebody. You're getting their way or fall on them or something. So with that in consideration, I gave them a C.
Yeah. I think you were very generous.
Oh boy. Let's move on to defensive line, Big Tiz.
Well, the defensive line, I'm going to give them probably like a C. And the reason I say a C is because they had their injuries as well, but come on, like these guys held some of these running backs to some pretty low yardage. And I mean, the only one I really seen that actually did decent against them was the running back for Kansas City. And I'm sorry, his name is
Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles had about 100 yards on the Steelers, but that was it. And I mean, more or less, you go to Ray Rice. They held Ray Rice in check.
Alfred Morris, below, I think he had like 47 yards, Alfred Morris.
Right. And these guys, they did it. So, and I wish there were more pressure on the quarterback? Of course I do. But the fact I do recognize that there were injuries, but I also recognize that they did control one aspect of the game, and that was the run. And that helped out because then they had nothing else left to do but to pass the ball. So, and that fell on the rest of the squad, which is the secondary. But you know what? I give that defensive line a C, maybe even a C+.
I would give them a C-. And well, a C+. Let me correct that. And the more I think about what you said, how they stopped the run, the reason why I am giving them such a low grade is because the lack of forcing fumbles, the lack of sacks, and the lack of pressure on the quarterback. That would help out the defensive backs immensely. I don't know if you can get better than number 1 pass defense, but with more pressure, more sacks, then you're locking number 1. So I give them kudos for being able to stop the run, the big name run like the law firm, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Rabinowitz. The law firm stopped him. Richardson, we played Cleveland earlier. The game they beat us. We did a number on him as well. All the featured backs we did a great job on. So I guess that rounds it up for now. Hey, how about what do you think about we go pay some bills?
Yes,
And while we're doing that, when we get back, we're going to talk about who is staying, who might go, and then we're going to try and get into the draft. Believe it or not, we need to talk about draft, free agents, who we need and what we need. And being Big Tiz, we put our heads together and we came up with a couple draft picks for you to ponder, to think about, and hopefully we'll see where we're at this point.
All right, stay tuned, guys, on this expanded edition of Steeler Nation Live.
It's Spaghetti Sports Pub, located at 2246 East River Road. A perfect blend of Irish charm and Italian cuisine. From Calabria favorites like calamari to chicken French to the new signature dish like the Steel City Deli.
The Rockless Burger.
Everything is delicious and prepared fresh for you. They offer a full lineup of your favorite beverages with drink specials daily, and don't forget their $5 Monster Bomb.
Ice cold beer.
All day, every day. With 2 floors of seating and 20 high-def televisions, there's not a bad seat in the house to catch every minute of the NFL action.
Watch what you want.
McGinnis is the official home of the Rochester Steelers fan club.
Steelers!
So come on down to McGinnis Sports Pub, 2246 East River Road in Henrietta.
At Grease Lightning, we offer fast automotive service, specializing in oil changes and auto repairs. We offer convenient yet comprehensive maintenance and repair service, fast and no appointment necessary. At Grease Lightning, we offer the best prices on top name brands. We get you in, out, and on your way, just like Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning is locally owned and operated, so come on down to 2061 Chiley Avenue here in Rochester and talk to Charles because he's in charge. You can also call Charles at 585-563-7939 or go to our website at mygreaselightning.com. Welcome back to SteelerNationLive.net here, Rochester, New York, live with the season finale show, our extended version, Big Tiz. How you feeling right now?
Hey, feeling good, baby. Feeling good. This final edition, like I said, long year for the Steelers, but we are still here. Big Tiz, Big O, doing it hard for you fans all across the nation here on Steeler Nation Live.
Yeah, please call us up, 724-444-7444. Enter the code 115243. Hit the pound key. Press 1 for guest and call us up. Let us know what do you think the Steelers should be doing on the offseason, where they should be going. How do you feel that the season went? Obviously, we're all disheartened. The 8-8 record, 500. It's 500 is 500, but it's like kissing your sister, I guess. It's it's not a losing record, but
it's not a winning one. And but you know what? The main thing we want to find out right now is who's going to be staying in Pittsburgh or who might be getting the boot in Pittsburgh. And it's going to be a lot of big names out there that people are going to say what, but these guys the time is coming. I mean, you have to make moves to get better in the team and people have to realize once you make moves, sometimes there is that slip in that notch to where a team will drop a level, but things happen in the NFL, and that's what happens with age and deterioration of your defense and of your offensive side of the ball. So we have to do these things, and we have to be ready, prepared for it.
Right. And like I said earlier, that don't be surprised, folks. Next year is not going to be a stellar year. A lot of players are going to be leaving the team unless they do some huge restructuring of their contracts, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Right now, James Harrison, he's 34 years old. His salary this year, coming up next season, is going to be $10 million against the cap. Don't forget, he joined in 2002, and he wasn't a full starter until 2007. And a couple other big names, talked about Max Starks. We called him. He looks like he's going to be going. Who else is? Here's another big name for you, folks. Sit down for this one. I don't expect Troy Polamalu to be in the Steeler jersey next year unless he does some serious restructuring to his contract. Now, we have 18 free agents, Big Tiz. 18 free agents.
Wow.
All right?
That's huge.
And we have 12 of them are unrestricted, and the remaining 6 are restricted. The only difference is that if somebody grabs a restricted free agent, they have to give us one of their draft picks, which I don't see the Steelers not trying to get some kind of contract going with the restricted free agents. However, the unrestricted guys, you could probably kiss them goodbye. And where do you think Wallace fits in this?
That's a good question because the fact with Wallace is a good pressing issue, and it's been an issue that we knew was coming up at the end of the season anyway. But the fact is, I don't know. He is that long ball threat, but he's not a continued long ball threat. Not just that, the fact that he's not. I don't grade him as that high of a receiver. He's a long ball threat, yes, but that's about it.
Man, he hurt the team by holding out. He won this outrageous contract, And then when he finally did come to his senses, come back and play, he was a mediocre receiver. Granted, he did score some touchdowns, but there's a lot of passes that he dropped.
Yeah.
And we're not talking, like uncatchable balls. We're talking balls thrown right at him at the chest, at the numbers in the hands, and he dropped them. Not to mention a couple fumbles where, gave the other team the ball back.
Yeah, so like I said, he's going to be out there as well, and it's going to be a lot of big names out there besides him. And actually, Rashad Mendenhall, he was in contract talks with the Steelers as the season was coming to an end, so we don't really know what's going to be the outs of that. But I cannot actually see them unless he takes a huge pay cut or a real drop in pay. He'll be gone as well.
And we're not gonna divulge all 18. I'm just gonna tell you the ones who I believe are not gonna come back this year. And Harrison, I don't believe he's going to be back. Like I said, 34, he's getting up there, and it's not like the Steelers to let go a premier defensive end or a linebacker. We've seen Greg Lloyd, we've seen Jason Gilden, another premier guy. We talked about Troy Polamalu. Now, he exposed himself against the Cowboys because of his age, cannot keep up with that style of play that he's used to when he came to the Steelers. He was out of position many times, couldn't catch up. He missed a whole bunch of tackles. Granted, he'll get that one crazy sack now and then. But other than that, he's injury prone now. He's up there in age, and his mobility isn't what it is. So we have to take that into consideration. Would some team pick him up? Absolutely. Some team would love to pick him up, but you know what? We have other guys that we have to worry about. A couple more guys I don't believe are coming back. Okay, Wallace, I don't believe he's come back. Mendenhall, I don't believe he's coming back. Will Allen, I don't believe he's coming back. Ryan Monday, don't believe it. Legursky, he's unrestricted, but I do believe he's coming back because he's like one of my favorites. He has to come back, but he's the kind of guy who can play guard, tackle, and center.
Right.
So take away the minor injuries, I do believe that he's going to come back. Ramon Foster, goodbye. Keenan Lewis, goodbye. And Emmanuel Sanders, restricted. I do believe that the Steelers are going to try their best to sign their restricted free agents, but I don't. It's going to be hard, Big Ten. It's not going to be easy. We all remember what happened last draft time and last what everybody had to do to reconstruct their contracts. But like I said, it's not going to be easy next year. Steelers have 18 free agents, like I said. That's the good news.
Right.
The bad news is that contracts need to be restructured, and I'll give you Roethlisberger, Timmons, Polamalu, Harrison, and Heath Miller eat up more than half of the salary cap. More than half of it. As a result, the team payroll exceeds the cap by almost $13 million already. And we're not even talking draft. We're not talking signing free agents. That's how it is right now. The one way I see we can fix this, if I'm pretty sure Roethlisberger will be fine with restructuring his contract. Harrison is going to have to take a huge pay cut if we're going to keep him. Okay, it's if we spread out their pay in form of bonuses as opposed to paychecks. Then if we can do that, we can spread the money out and we can retain these players till at least 2015, 2016. Don't be shocked, like I said, if Harrison and Polamalu are not in the black and gold next year. Other ones are going to be released. Brett Kiesel, he's another one of my favorites. He's due to get $4 million next year because he reconstructed his contract to go down to $4 million. Well, the Steelers organization is going to have to ask Brett to take another pay cut. And if he decides to walk or not going to do it, he's not getting any younger either. I don't believe he'll be in the Steelers jersey next year. Casey Hampton, same deal with him.
Right.
He's getting old up there. He's getting, he's not as mobile as he used to be. Ramon Foster, Sean Swisham. I mean, he was key in a couple games, but the games that we really needed him to hit the field goal, like the one missed against Cincinnati, granted was a bad snap, but you know what? You got to hit those that close, chip shots. And Leftwich, don't expect him in the Steelers jersey next year either.
Yeah, I believe Leftwich will be gone, and that's one of the things where when we get into it, we're going to talk about some of our draft options. But the fact is that we have to get somebody in there that's going to, even off the free agent market, that's going to be able to hold the team together while Ben's gone. And I mean, nothing against Charlie Bash, but like I said, Charlie Bash is not going to be that guy that's going to be able to step in there for that 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 to 5 game span and get us to where we need to go. And I mean, he had that big game against the Baltimore Ravens. But the thing about it is, that was a rough game in itself because he missed a lot of wide open receivers in that game as well. But the fact is, we just have to go out there and get a guy that we know that has been proven to take a team somewhere, and we have to hopefully get him for little to no money down.
Right, and with that win against Cleveland, we bumped us up, or not bumped us, we lost a couple draft spots. We were at the 14 pick in the first round, but now we're up to 19, which really isn't that bad, but it's kind of like in the middle. And so the draft picks really aren't going to be there. Now, we could trade up and we could trade players. And me and Big Tiz, we put our heads together and we found a bunch of great college players who we feel that around the time that we're going to be picking, it's going to be within our grasp. Now, last year we got so lucky with the Castro. We were going to trade up for him, but we didn't have to because he was there for the picking, and we grabbed him. And let's not forget Sean Spence. Remember him?
Yeah.
For second-round draft pick, and he got hurt at the beginning of the year. Castro, Sean Spence, and it'll come to me later. There's a couple other draft picks who got hurt that we lost out. So in actuality, it was like we never had a draft.
Right.
Because our main draft picks were hurt. Mike Adams,
Yeah.
also he played a couple games, played more than a few, but he's still in and out with injuries. But because we said that Troy's not going to be there and Clark, he's not getting, he's been with Steelers for 11 years. Me and Big Tiz, we looked at Texas safety Kenny Vaccaro. Now this kid is 6'1", 218 pounds, and if you can look by if you're on the video side and look at this guy, he's amazing. He's 6'1", good size for a safety.
Oh yeah.
You want him about 6'2", 6'3". You want to get some height, but you don't want to take away from the speed. And this kid has got some great stats. Fast, powerful. He's got great hands. He can cover. He can bump and run. He's the kind of player that the Steelers need. And we also look. That's what we believe would be our first pick, would be safety, because we want to shore up that defense. Second round would be Zach Ertz from Stanford. Now, if you watched the game the other night, this kid was phenomenal. He had a pass of I think it was a 60-yard bomb. This guy can block, he can catch, he can run. He's like a prototype of Heath Miller. I mean, he's tall. He's 6'6", 252 pounds. And this year he had 898 yards and 6 touchdowns for Stanford. Now, Stanford's got a lot of players, okay? And they throw the ball around too, but this is the guy, this is the go-to guy. This is like the Jason Witten of the Cowboys. It's the Heath Miller of the Steelers. This is the go-to guy. And in the third round, we think that they would grab outside linebacker from Texas A&M, Sean Porter. Now, this kid is 6'2", 230 pounds, powerful. He's got speed. He's like James Harrison, but only younger. He's a great pick. Now, like I said, folks, you might not have heard of these people, but you're going to hear about these people in the future. Because me and Big Tiz, we did our homework, and last year we were almost on the mark with some picks. Alameda Tamu, remember that guy, the criminal? Another draft pick wasted. Not to change subjects right now, but all these names are coming back to my mind. In round 4, another defensive linebacker, Gerald Hodges, Penn State. This guy's a beast. This guy is he plays with the tenacity of Ray Lewis and Suggs together, and with the speed of Harrison when he first came to the league. So this is the guy to watch, and I guarantee you, teams are going to overlook him, and he's going to be there for the pickings. Believe it or not, in round 5, we need to get another running back, because I do believe that Pittsburgh is going to let loose Redmond, he's a let loose Mendenhall, and we do have Chris Rainey. We have Baron Batch, who another season-ending injury. We still really haven't seen what he could perform. But Ray Graham, running back of Pitt, this kid is a small kid, kind of like a Rainey size, but he's got power like Dwyer. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, and he rushed for over 1,000 yards in 2002 for the Panthers. Now that's a tough division to run in. And we're going to need a quarterback. We have to get a quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I see that Roethlisberger, he has a couple of years in the tank. I want to say 2 solid, 3 passable. This is the perfect time to get a young quarterback to groom in the Steelers. And I was very impressed watching Vanderbilt. And if you can see the split screen on the video side, we have Aaron Rodgers to the right and his little brother Jordan Rodgers on the left, number 11 from Vanderbilt. Now, this kid led Vandy over North Carolina State, and the New Year's Eve Music City Bowl was a great game, 38-24. And he didn't start until October, and he played 12 games, and he threw for 2,500 yards, Big Tiz, 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Only 5 interceptions, and I mean, that's what we're looking at right here. This is our draft picks because we need a quarterback, and now is the time to start grooming a quarterback.
Well, like I said, the Steelers, they have a lot of things on the plate this offseason, and the draft is going to be huge for the Steelers, and hopefully, even starting off with our first pick, it will set the tone for the Steelers. And not regarding, and Big O did bring up something and mention something that was very unique that I forgot about, was the fact that we did have a lot of guys who we did get in the draft this year who did go out on injury. So we have to look at that as well. So I do think we do have a good nucleus coming, but we have to continue to go in these drafts and look for a certain direction that we want to go, because there's going to be a lot of guys that's going to be out of it. And one thing we did want to step into, we want to actually start talking about this weekend. The Steelers aren't in it, but there's going to be a lot of games played this weekend. So, you know what? For our finale, we're going to continue and talk about them. The playoff picture this weekend and the schedule this weekend. The playoff picture this weekend is going to be, it's going to be something, because, like I said, we're going to start off one now. We have the Bengals at the Texans at 1:30 on Saturday. That's going to be a huge game. Big O, what do you think is going to come out of this game?
Bengals loss. Next.
Yeah, I think the same. I think it's going to be a Bengals loss there as well. But the thing about it is, I can see the Texans going to that ground game and continually pounding the Bengals. And all they need to do is get a couple quick sacks on Andy Dalton, and I think that game's pretty much over.
Well, let's look at it this way. History repeats itself, especially with the Bengals, who were 0-5 in the playoffs. Last year they lost. The year before that, yeah. All right, they're in the playoffs. All right, we're not. Get over it. Okay, we understand that. However, when the Texans coming off a loss to the Vikings at home, I believe it was, and with the defense, J.J. Watt, this guy is a beast. You know what? I did consider him as an MVP, but the last defensive player that actually won MVP, I believe, was Lawrence Taylor back in '86. I believe that. So even though he wasn't a special consideration, this guy, I think he was a half a sack short of tying whose record? Whose record? Come on, Big Tiz, help me out here. Sack record. Was it Lawrence Taylor?
No, I believe it was Strahan.
Michael Strahan. Okay, another Giant. So he was half a sack short during the regular season, and I believe this guy is going to get off on the Bengals. And the law firm is not up to 100%. He got hurt last game, so he's running on half a law firm. And they got A.J. Green. They stop him. They contain him. I think game over.
All right.
Let's see. Let's get a score prediction, Big Tiz. What do you think?
I think the score on this game will probably be something like about a 27-14 game with the Texans coming out on top.
I think you're right. I'm going to say 27-10 Texans. Texans are at home. It's going to be tough. Bengals, they don't deserve to be in there. I mean, even if the Steelers were in it, the way they were playing, I would bet against them. You know what I mean? At the way they were playing, you don't expect what you're going to get, the style of play game to game. So Texans 27, Bengals 10. Vikings at the Pack.
That should be a good game actually on Saturday night, January 5th. And I can see I'm looking for the Vikings to come up with an upset at the Packers because everybody's looking at the Packers are at home. They're going to do it outside. They got the weather going, this and that. And I can see the Vikings actually scoring a late touchdown to go ahead and win this game. I'm going to go out there and say I don't think Adrian Peterson is going to – he's not going to have 100, but he'll probably have about 90, 95 yards rushing. But it's going to be just enough to win the game. So I can see the Vikings winning on this game, maybe a score of, I'll say 24-21.
All right. I'm going to pick the Pack as much as it hurts me because I'm not a Packer fan, and I know there's a lot of annoying Packer fans out there, cheeseheads. But you know what? I believe, and you got to take into consideration the time of the year, the season, the open field. You're playing a dome team. Let's not forget that. You're playing a dome team in Green Bay. Their playoff record at home, it's ridiculous. I think it's something like 11-1 or so. I don't know. It's a great record at home. Now they just lost to Minnesota, so we got some payback issues right here.
Right.
Stop Peterson because Ponder is not the guy who's going to get you to the Super Bowl. He's not going to get you to the promised land because all he is a fallback from Peterson. Peterson does good, and like we say every game, you establish a run, you set up the pass. And that's what the Vikings have been doing all year, and that's what got them into the playoffs. And the Packers are going to shut down the run game. Jordy Nelson, he's healthy. Randall Cobb, he's healthy. The running game really isn't that established because they're falling back on the pass with Rodgers. So they established that running game, and he's got a plethora of receivers to throw to. I mean, everybody. Jennings, he came up huge for me in fantasy. I mean, he had a couple TDs last game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he could throw the ball to anywhere and just, set it up. I see Packers 35-14.
Wow. 30. You're going for a total shutdown, huh?
35-17.
Okay.
You feel better on that one?
Okay, maybe. But we'll go to Sunday's game, January 6th, the Colts at the Ravens at I think it's a 1:30 start, 1 o'clock 1:30 start. But I'm actually looking for the Colts to go into Ravenland. All the hype, Ray Lewis retiring, some of the players back, going in there and upsetting the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason I say it because the Ravens are so hyped, and I have a feeling that this young kid is going to go in there and keep to that dink and dunk offense, and I think it's going to be enough to actually go down and get them a field goal probably, and then they'll actually go into some touchdowns, and I can see them scoring late in that game as well and taking a lead on the Ravens, and that actually the Colts defense isn't that bad because I can actually see them starting to rattle the Ravens quarterback Flacco. So I can actually see the Colts winning that game, and that game I could probably see is going to be a little bit tighter. I see a 21-17 game.
Now, don't forget, Flacco is not running on all cylinders now. He was hurt, and Dixon had to come in, and I think it was Dixon who came in relief of him last game. It wasn't because of you would think it was because that they already got their spot in the playoffs. They don't need but Flacco was seriously hurt. I don't know what the injury is, but he was hurt. He will be the starter. Obviously, it's a playoff game. You got to put your starter in there, but he's mediocre at best.
Right.
At least for this season. Last season, he was getting a paycheck. This season is his last year. Contract's up. I don't think he's going to get the money he wants. I don't believe so. With that being said, I believe the Colts are gonna win one more game. They're gonna take this fairy tale and one more game. You know what I'm saying? And this is their Super Bowl right here.
Right.
I believe this is where it ends. They play the Ravens. They're gonna beat the Ravens, and it's gonna be a close match. What did you say? 17?
I say 21-17.
I say 17-14. The Colts are gonna win at last second field goal.
I like that.
And I do believe Vic Ballard will get hot and they will establish their running game.
I believe that too as well, because the Ravens aren't as strong as they think they are against the run, especially with Ray Lewis aging and still trying to come back from an injury. So, but we'll go into our next game, which is going to be Sunday at 4:30, and that's going to be the Seattle Seahawks, great team, at the Washington Redskins.
The Seahawks are not at home, so you can just kiss this one goodbye. And not to mention, I don't follow Seahawks. I just just do the stats and whatnot, and they're a very poor traveling team. When you get back home in, was it Safeco Field or I don't even know where they play. I don't know. Who knows with these names? But when you get in that stadium, that is ridiculous. That's why I think they're 6-1 at home.
Right.
Something really ridiculous. And the Redskins, they're playing out. They just dismantled the Cowboys. RG3 ran all over them, threw all over them. Alfred Morris, he ran all over them. You name it, they did it. They slapped them around a little bit. Redskins took control of that game, and you know what? It was for division. So we got to give kudos to Shanahan. When you start off the season at 3-7 with a rookie quarterback, you really don't think you're going to make the playoffs. So our hats off to Shanahan. Great job, and it was like the whole deal. How we talk about running game. Without the running game, you're nothing. We go back to when we play him. I like to do this because how we held Alfred Morris to under 50 yards. The defense, it can happen,
Right.
but I don't believe that that Seattle has the caliber, the defensive line to shut down Morris. They do have the D-backs, so I believe it's going to be a tough day for Garcon, a tough day for Moss, and whatever the other guys. I can't think of it. Blankenville or I don't know. But anyways, it's going to be a tough day for the Seahawks on that. But I still pick the Redskins. Redskins going to 24-9. 24-9.
I like that, and I can see the Redskins winning that game. Actually, I'm gonna go out and say even on a bigger lead, I'm gonna say 27-10, and with the Redskins winning that game and RG3 having a huge day against a vaunted defense actually. But and then we're gonna let's go on to let's go further than that a little bit. And in January 12th, we have the Broncos who's gonna be hosting the winner of the West remaining winner.
Yep, the Colts the Colts are gonna be playing the Broncos, I believe. So let's take it a step further there, Big Tiz. We're just gonna skip the middleman. We're gonna go with the AFC division. This is what I picked. For the AFC divisions, I got the Patriots versus the Colts. And I got the Broncos versus the Texans, obviously.
Right.
And I got the Patriots beating the Colts. Now, folks, this is our bracket. This is Big Tiz and Big O's bracket to the Super Bowl. If you don't like it, call us up and tell us who you think is going to be in the Super Bowl at 724-444-7444. Enter the code 115243. Hit the pound key. Press 1 for guest. You're on. Talk to us live. Or you can text us in. Excuse me. It's Rochester. We have colds. So I got the Patriots winning this one, obviously. Fairy tale ends for the Colts. Brady's going to light them up. And they're going to be playing in New England because the Patriots are a higher seed. So,
well, you know what? I can see the Patriots winning that against the Colts as well. And they harassed them last time they played the Colts, so I can see them winning that as well. And I'm going to go even further, and I'm going to give you guys my pick for the final Super Bowl. and actually, I can see the final two matchups in the Super Bowl will be the Denver Broncos versus the Green Bay Packers. But I will go in to say, and the reason I say that because I know that I picked the Vikings earlier, but if the Packers get past the Vikings, I can see them making it into the finals and actually playing against the Denver Broncos, and I can see the Denver Broncos upsetting them late and winning that game in a close game, and maybe even like a 37-24 game.
Ooh. Yeah, I see Broncos beating up on the Texans because everybody's got the road through the Super Bowl's got to go through Denver, and Tebow's not there. I see the Broncos beating the Texans. It's gonna be a disaster for Texans. I just see a blowout here. I see something in I see 38-17 Broncos over the Texans. And that leads us to Broncos versus the Patriots. Broncos hosting the Patriots. And this is going to be a shootout, Big Tiz. This is going to be a shootout. I'm looking like 49-45 Broncos. Shootout. Huge.
Yeah, I like that. I like the picks that you got, and that's good. But you know what, guys? What we're going to do is we're going to continue on with the show, and actually we're going to step into our next segment of the show, which we call Where Are They Now? And our special topic tonight on Where Are They Now is number 92 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jason Gildon. And we have a little montage here we put together for Jason Gildon, so we're going to start that off for you Steeler fans on Steeler Nation Live.
Where are they now? Former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Jason Gildon. Former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Jason Gildon is on the field again. He isn't wearing pads or a helmet or wearing his familiar number 92 jersey. Instead, he's wearing a whistle around his neck and lining up the red and white. Gildon, who played for the Steelers from 1994 to 2003, is a new defensive line coach for the Peters Township High School Indian football team. Jason Gildon is new to this position, and the position is new to him. This is Gildon's first time as a high school coach. Gildon, who is 39, had previously worked as a volunteer coach during Steelers summer training camp. Gildon said, "It's a lot different being on this side of things. I have to keep telling myself that I'm not the one playing. It isn't about me anymore. It's about the kids." After leaving the Steelers in 2003, the three-time Pro Bowler went on to play one season with the Jacksonville Jaguars before retiring. Since then, he has focused most of his time and energy on his family, his wife, and 4 children, ages 15, 12, 9, and 2. In closing, Gildon said that he looks forward to a great season for the Indians, as well as for those Steelers, though he admits he's probably a little biased on both fronts.
Oh, yeah, that was Jason Gildon, number 92, boy. You got to love those number 92s for the Pittsburgh Steelers, boy. I tell you, they got a lot of history if you go from Jason Gildon to Harrison. I mean, these guys caused havoc for the Steelers, and maybe 92 should be worn by whoever adorns it for the Steelers again.
Man, don't forget Greg Lloyd, too. He was a beast. He was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love Greg Lloyd. But you know what, guys? What we're going to do as the show continues on, we're going to step away and go to commercial, because when we come back from the commercial, we're going to step into our other segment of the show, which is going to be our final thoughts. And Big O, you know what? On our final thoughts, I want to talk about a lot of things that happened with the Steelers this year and a lot of our thoughts and what you guys thought about the show. And we're going to continue on and tell you some of our new things that we have coming off for next year and next year's show with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So once we step into commercial, we'll be back, and we will hit you up as soon as we get there on Steeler Nation Live.
When excellence is your only option, look no further than Supreme Limousine. For any special occasion or need, Supreme Limousine will be there for you. Weddings, proms, wine tours, sporting events, bachelor and bachelorette parties, just to name a few. At Supreme Limo, they know how difficult planning a big event can be, so leave your worries behind, because Supreme Limousine will give you peace of mind. Call Rich at 585-425-3711 and set up your special event today. Serving New York and parts of Canada for many years, and through all of New York's worst weather, you will get to where you're going on time and safe. When you need a ride, Supreme Limousine is on your side. So call Rich at 585-425-3711. And at Supreme Limousine, you get supreme service, not a supreme price. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, look no further than Dan Powell. Dan knows that buying or selling a home is one of the most important things you will ever do. Dan wants to make that experience as smooth and successful as possible. Dan's extensive expertise in the real estate market will benefit you whether you're looking to buy or sell a home. Once Dan knows what you want, he will work tirelessly to find the right home for you, because no one should compromise when it comes to such a huge purchase. Whether you're looking for homes for sale, moving resources, or even mortgage information, everything you need is right here with Dan. Dan will always be available for personal service by phone or email, so feel free to contact him with questions at any time. So when buying or selling a home, don't get frustrated or throw in the towel. Just call Dan Powell at 585-704-8324. That's 585-704-8324, or email Dan at dan@rochhomefinder.com. That's Dan at ROCHOMEFINDER.com.
Honey, I just found a great new place to take us out to eat for breakfast. Critics Restaurant, 906 West Main Street, Rochester, New York. Critics is the ultimate in family breakfast dining. And if you're a Steeler fan, hey, you found the right place, Critics Restaurant. Critics Restaurant has been a neighborhood fixture in Rochester, New York for over 40 years. Good food, good fun. Critics Restaurant, 906 West Main Street. Come check us out. Hey guys, welcome back. Steeler Nation Live, final show of the year, 2-hour expanded edition. We here, we done it. You know, Big Tiz and Big O, there's a lot of things that happen in this long season, and we want to let you guys know that, you know, we appreciate the love that you gave us this whole season, the calls that came in, and we want to give a warm thank you to some of our sponsors there that helped us through this long season. You know, Big O, let's go through some of the sponsors like McGinney's Sports Pub. These guys, we went down there, did a show, spectacular show. These guys showed us much love, and we found a lot of guys out there, a lot of the Steeler Nation here in Rochester, New York. Guys don't know it's strong and it's moving hard, Big O.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout-out to the Rochester Steelers Fan Club. And Kathy Buckley, we want to thank you for welcoming us to your family, to expand our family even more, and we hope to continue this partnership into next season. We also want to thank Dan Powell from RE/MAX. If you're buying or selling a home, call Dan Powell. Look for RE/MAX. Look him up. Go to our website, and all the information is there. Dan Powell, he's the man. If you want a house, call him up.
Oh yeah, like I said, these guys, they added a lot of things to Steeler Nation Live, and a lot of guys that called in. We want to also thank actually from Speak It Like You Think It. Naj called in a lot of times and from his radio show, and we appreciate you, Naj, and the things that you did to add to our show. We want to thank Johnny B from Johnny B's Fantasy. Johnny B, the things you added to the show, the spice, the love, we appreciate that from you. You are something else. So, brother, we hopefully look to do more things with you next year on Steeler Nation Live.
Absolutely, and just the many followers on Facebook, and everybody checks out our website. I think we're almost up to 7,000 people checking us out. Check us out on YouTube as well. Search Steeler Nation, TalkShoe.com. The radio. You want to listen to the radio version? You want to see Big Tiz's pretty face? And you want to go to TalkShoe.com, search Steeler Nation, and there we are. All our episodes. You could log in, sign in, and give us a review of what you think of the show was. And just even though we're not going to be on the air live, we're going to be back in April for the pre-draft show and the draft show, and hopefully Big Tiz and I are looking to hopefully get down there for a day and do some interviews, and hopefully not like a live show, but we'll do some interviews and record a bunch of stuff and put it on the show. But that's not for a couple more months, and you know what? It's going to drive me crazy, Big Tiz.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of things going to be happening. You know what? And we have to go from the fact of where we started from, and we started from just doing a one-time show on TalkShoe, and the fact that it grew and it grew, and we had followers, and the fact is now we're on video live, and a lot of people are seeing us out there on YouTube, and as we expand and the things that's happening, and Big O and myself, we're looking to actually expand even more. We're going to have a brand new studio next year, so we're looking into that, and we're looking into a lot of things. So we're going to try to get a lot of things going with the Steelers, and we're trying to get more recognition out there, so we appreciate it from you guys as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on, give you some of my final thoughts as well, and I think this season for the Steelers was a rough one. The fact of, like I said, the injuries hurt the Steelers so bad, and the fact that a lot of our draft choices, as Big O alluded to earlier, they are not there. They were out injured. Actually, a lot of it was preseason injuries. If you go back to DeCastro and more as it goes along, and the injuries to our more veteran players, and as well as Big Ben going out again this year for a couple games. There are a lot of things that were against us this year in the season, and a new offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, this year. If you throw all that into the mix, and here you go with an 8-8 record. But I think the Steelers were game for it, and like I said, there were a lot of things that we could have done to put ourselves in better positions with the struggling season. But all in all, we're here. We're 8-8. We almost made the playoffs. It was a good pitch. We tried it. It didn't work. But like I said, this offseason has to come out strong, and we have to come out there, especially in this draft, and pick up some players that's going to take – these are going to be long-haul players we have to get, because there's going to be a lot of guys that's going to be gone from that aging veteran team, and we have to face it. And there might be that case where the Steelers might even go to a 6-10 record. But if you go to a 6-10 record, as you know, the Steelers have done that before in the era with Bill Cowher. But the fact is, we've gotten better that next year. So sometimes you have to regress to progress, and I think that's what's going to happen with the Steelers this upcoming season. But as always, black and gold in the head, black and gold in the heart, black and gold in the mind. We are here, and we're going to always be here for you, Steelers. So from Big Tiz, much love on Steeler Nation Live.
Well, how do you follow that one up?
Well, I just want to say good night and thanks for watching us. It's a tough show to follow, but you know what, folks? First of all, I want to thank everybody who's listening out there. We have over 600 Facebook friends. You can friend us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, go to our website, www.steelernationlive.net. We are a Steeler online radio show from Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York is like 65 miles east of Buffalo. We have a great fan base here. And Big Tiz and I, Big Tiz had this idea, and I just jumped on his coattails, and we started this show. And it's going to be horrible to walk away for a couple weeks. We work together, and we talk each day in the job, and we keep each other posted what's going on. And what's so great about this is that I'll come to Big Tiz with an idea, and he'll come to me with an idea, and sometimes we have the same ideas. But what makes it so great is that he has his side, I have my side, and we just bring it together, and we gel, and we have this great show that I feel that the Rochester area needs to hear. Because, I mean, living so close to Buffalo, that's all you hear is how bad Buffalo is and what Buffalo's going to do and try to be better next year or next game or whatnot. And it's kind of sick of hearing it with the fan base here, with all these Steeler fans. McGinney Sports Pub in Henrietta, not only do they have great food, but they have great people. Sal, the owner, and he welcomed us into his establishment. He welcomed in Rochester Steeler Fan Club in there. It's just a great community of Steeler fans and family. Want to thank you, Sal, for lending us to it. I hope we can work together next year as well. We have a lot of Uniform Express we want to thank for uniform needs. If you're EMS, police, fire, you need uniforms, boots, shirts, screen print, they have it for you. Extreme Limousine, you want extreme price, you want extreme service, check us out, check him out, check Rich out. He does all the pro players who come to Rochester, wine tours, everything like that. With that being said, I just want to thank the Steeler Nation for giving us much love. Your feedback is taken at heart to us, and we want your feedback to see how we can improve ourselves and how we could be better for you next year. So your feedback is important. So you can email me at bigo1933@yahoo.com, BigTiz@SteelerNationLive.com. Email us, Facebook us, let us know what you're feeling out there. With that being said, getting back to the beginning of the season, it was disaster from the beginning. With the going nuts, restructuring contracts to get under the cap so we can get these players. And finally, when all that was said and done, they all ended up injured. We had Walls holding out, which kind of screwed everything up for the receiving corps and the offense. We have a new offensive coordinator who professed great things are going to happen. That fell apart. And it just, when you combine all that and trying to keep Ben healthy, we lost him for a couple of games. We finally realized that we only have one quarterback on this team. And now with this upcoming draft, We really don't need positional players because the guys we drafted last year, they're going to be rookies this year because except for DeCastro, who came back for the last couple of games, and like I said, Sean Spence, he saw preseason, never saw it down in regular season. Mike Adams, Tom Mahu, his injury problems, his criminal record. We don't know if he's going to see jail time next year. But we have the players right now. Draft is great. We have to draft. We have to look for the future. We don't really necessarily have to rebuild the team. We have to build a team. And the only thing we have to rebuild is our quarterback.
Right.
Because Ben has been with the team for 8 years, 9 years, and we need somebody who's going to not be Ben, but to take that role, to step in like Ben did when he came in. For Tommy Maddox, when Tommy Maddox was the guy, and he went down and Ben stepped up, 15-1 that season, his rookie year. We need somebody who's going to come in and take that. We need an offensive coordinator. Be it Todd Haley, whoever steps in, you have to do what you say you're going to do. Just don't, brush it aside and say, okay, we'll work on the next game. No, that's not going to cut it anymore. And I'm pretty sure Steeler fans are just about as upset as I am with the fact that the nonchalantness of Todd Haley not focusing on the issues at hand. I do believe Ben came in too soon, but what are you going to do when you don't have a quarterback? He's the only quarterback. It's time to look for the future. It's in that aspect. Other than that, we don't have to rebuild. We have to build. And Tomlin, he's got to stop being a player coach. He's got to stop being your buddy, your pal. He's got to get these guys up to play these games because obviously they're not doing it. They're going through the motions. So I see it's going to be ugly at the beginning, and it's always darkest. The dark always comes first, the storm before the calm, whatever you want to say, Big Tiz. But I do say we're going to make the playoffs next year, and I do say we're going to make the Super Bowl next year. And if we do have to play the Cowboys again, different story, different scenario. We are going to win this game, and I see us 12-4 next year.
Hey, big words, well, big man. Holy smoke! Well, that would be much appreciative if we did, but like I said, I just can't see it at the moment. But like I said, I would love to see the Steelers do well, and here we are. We are at the end of another season here on Steeler Nation Live, and we love to thank you guys from the bottom of our heart, Big Tiz and Big O. And like I said, we'll be back to see you guys hopefully in April sometime, so that way we can get that show on the ground and do that pre-draft show and the draft show. And as well, we're trying to hopefully lock up something with NFL refs, just trying to get an interview. But we'll see how things go here on Steeler Nation Live. But we're going to end this show, and we want to thank you guys again. And that's coming from Big Tiz, Big O. 2012 season in the books, Steeler Nation Live. Love you guys. Don't miss us too much.
The future. And with the name of the future. With the name of the future. And with the name of the future. Hey. Yeah. Shout out to Big Tiz, man. And Big O. We're still a nation, man. Yeah. Big Tiz. Big O. You know what it is, man. Still a nation, man. Big O. Big Tiz. Big O. Every night on Monday night, man. Hey. 7 to 8 on Monday night. Big O. Big Tiz, and it's a song, and this is the nation. Big Tiz, Big O, Big Tiz, Big O, still a nation. Big Tiz, Big O, Big Tiz, Big O, still a nation, man. Yeah, it's a song, Big O. Yeah, I had to say it was a song, man. You know, it is a song, man. Yeah, Big Tiz, Big O. Big shit, big shit.